Hello everybody, it's Pam here from Niche. It's been a while, so let's get down to it. So we've got the election coming up, we've got mortgage rates, and what's happening with them, where are we seeing interest rates go, what am I seeing in the market right now with people coming up for remortgages, and especially the purchase sector. And I'll be some honest sort of feedback on what I've received from clients, and we'll look at some of the comments below some of my videos, and yeah, it's just a general sort of upkeep of see what's been happening. So I'll catch you on the video. Hi, it's Brian here from Niche Advice. Right, okay, so we've got the election coming up, and as everybody, everyone tries to look at them, the good things and the bad things of the different parties, and how essentially that could help you as a person. So me being selfish, I look at the various things, what the party's standing for, whether they're going to be good for me, for my conscience, for my beliefs, whether they're going to be good for my pocket, whether they're going to be good for my family, or immediate family or extended family. We've all got different types of people within our family structure and within our lives, and I think the different parties are all trying to sort of pitch to various people. So let's look at that from a finance perspective. So my pockets, who is going to be best for me in terms of my job, me, someone who's involved in housing, someone who's got a business, although 50% share with Richard. And by the way, we've changed the banner, and there will be new sort of formats of these videos with Richard involved in it as well. I've been doing these for myself for the last few years, but Richard's had a lot of sort of editorial involvement in what we do, but he's going to be in front of the camera. I finally managed to get him on there. So as a business owner, I employ people. Obviously I've run a business now for the last 17 years. We've been employed. So what is that all going to mean? Now, obviously, you've got the headline acts, you've got the the immigration debate, you've got taxation, and you've got growth. If we look at some of those things, for example, when you look at the property pledges that they're trying to do, we're going to go and build these houses. Well, I think how many housing ministers did we go through in the last government? About 14 housing ministers we went through. They all gave the various targets of 300,000 houses. Nobody really delivered. No one. It was just like a little job. You go and sit there, become a housing minister, and then until you get the next job, you go there and you really want to be the chancellor, or you still really want to be the health secretary, or you want to do something else. But we'll play around with property. So I don't think unless there's huge, dramatic, fundamental changes, I don't think anyone's going to hit those targets. Now, with Labour, they're playing it safe, so they're not coming out with anything dramatic, different to what the Conservatives said. They all come in, every single minister comes in and says, do you know what, we need to change the housing laws. We need to make it simpler for builders to build. But the reality is, the tackling affordability is going to be the huge issue. There's no point building 300,000 high-rise blocks, crappy properties that are overpriced, and the reason you have to sell them is you have to incentivize people by getting themselves in more debt by launching things like Help to Buy, okay, or trying to essentially make people tied into things like shared ownership. So there's a fundamental look at property affordability, and what these things can mean is needed. There's no point just saying we're going to build more houses. However, the developers will have to, we'll give them an incentive to do Help to Buy, and it will just, bump up the prices as it did with Help to Buy. And you know what? We're now seeing the consequences of Help to Buy, because those people that were on 5-year fixes or 2-year fixes on Help to Buy deals, guess what? They're trying to sell their property, and a lot of them can't. A lot of them are tied into those property deals because they haven't got the affordability, or to buy out the Help to Buy, their price appreciation hasn't happened as quickly as they thought. So the government policy around housing, I just don't believe any of them in terms of that. Immigration as a first generation, not a second generation. I'm a first generation. I'm a proper immigrant, okay? Granted, I was very, very young when I came here. As a first generation immigrant myself, okay, I'm not talking about my kids and my parents and stuff like that, I can tell you now there's the right type of immigration and there's the wrong type of immigration. If somebody's going to come in and is going to try to better the country, or is going to have the morals or the I suppose the ethic or the discipline or the mindset of integrating within a culture, and that doesn't mean you have to you have to say, well, I don't have my own culture, but you've got to be able to embrace the culture and you've got to be able to mix. And unfortunately what's happened with immigration is there's definitely an issue around the whole of the UK. You talk to anybody really, there is an issue whereby there is a clash of cultures as such. Now there are some good people that essentially integrate. There are others that haven't integrated as well, and that's causing friction. And of course, when you're having to deal with hard issues like affordability, austerity, lack of knowledge, lack of education in the right areas, de-investment, basically what's happened is the way the world has been run and the way this country has been run is the race to the bottom. So what's happened now is we've hit bottom, and now everybody's pointing fingers. Is it the fault of Brexit? Is it the fault of the privatization, for example? Is it the fault of education? Is it the fault of obviously not controlling the borders properly? Is it the fault of the immigrants? Is it the fault of the warmongers that caused the immigrants? Is it the fault of the European Union opening the doors and not closing the doors? Is it the fault of the French? So you've got all of those things and everybody's blaming each other. Ultimately, the immigrants will get the blame for a lot of the fundamental issues. Don't get me wrong, it's not the immigrant that's essentially privatized half the country and taken all the profits away. It's not that immigrant. However, that immigrant has got a duty as a person who's coming into the country to embracing the culture of that country, embracing the people, trying to fit within their, at the end of the day, you're in someone else's country. Until you call it your own country, you've got to abide by their rules, culture, and ethics, essentially. So I think that's not going to go away. Unfortunately, with Labour coming in, I think there's the whole of Europe we've seen is going to go towards the right, and wrongly or rightly, that's by the by. However, it's going to be fought. The battle ground is fought on the false pretenses, and it's not really dealing with some of the issues that are out there, the causing this franchisation by a lot of the people around. So anyway, there's my bit on policies, and I think the biggest thing is probably immigration, and as well as the economy. And unfortunately, with the economy, we are now and I've said this many a time, I feel like we're a vassal state. We're a vassal state of America. If you look at the corporations that the United Kingdom has got, you look at the investment that's coming in, we are pretty much a vassal state of America now, especially as we're no longer part of the European Union. Now, rightly or wrongly, you could say we've ended up here, but I think a lot of our decisions are tied to the US, and it'll be interesting actually, because we've seen interest rates cut across Europe, and so the ECB has cut interest rates. It'll be interesting to see if the government will cut their interest rates. The Bank of England will cut their interest rates. There is an argument that they've said that they don't want to cut the interest rate because they don't want to be seen to be political. It's a political move. Just before the general election, they cut the interest rate. Tories will turn around and say, see, we told you everything's going to get better. Just give us a couple of more years and we're going to get this all on track. So I think the Bank of England is trying to stay clear of being political. So maybe there was going to be an interest rate cut, but it's probably not going to happen because they don't want to be seen to be political. Now, I did say that I didn't think there was going to be a cut in June. I thought it might be a little bit down the line, but we did see the European Central Bank cut interest rates. I don't think interest rates are on the way down in America right now, may do in the next couple of months, but I always sort of said that I would look to the Americans rather than the Europeans in regards to interest rate cuts, and I think I'm going to stick by that, but I could be proven wrong. So that's the interest rate, and what's that's done to the mortgages. Well, I've just had a client, funny enough, this afternoon, come back to me and said, I've got a mortgage offer. I got him a mortgage offer from Santander in, I think, the 22nd of April. So we got a mortgage offer on 22nd of April. He's about to go through legals, about to complete. Drop me an email, say, Pam, you told me at the time, keep an eye out on the rates, a couple of weeks before completion. Might be worth having a look at it. If there's been any movement on the rate, I might get a better rate. I had a look at it for him, and it's actually gone up. So the same rate, 2-year fixed 75% deal, I think we got him, and the rate has gone up since April, so since 3 months ago. So rates are actually creeped up, and they haven't come down in anticipation. And I think those sort of people that jumped the gun with the rates, a lot of the lenders, they pulled themselves back in and they actually moved their rates up. So I haven't seen dramatic increases, and I have seen our own volumes, although we're doing a lot more specialist stuff, our own general volumes has actually dropped in the last week or two. I think people are all geared up for this interest rate decrease, and I don't think it's come through, and obviously the election has thrown everything out of water. So that's what I think in regards to affordability and the lenders and the mortgage rate. They're all there. They're all tinkering with some of their rates, some of the affordability. What they will accept is types of income, for example, loan to values. They're all there or thereabouts, but nothing dramatic has changed when it comes to mortgages. Certainly on a 2-year and a 5-year fixed, rates are, I think, higher than they were maybe 2-3 months ago. So not great signs from that perspective. A couple of other points. If you are doing mortgages at the moment, the conveyancing element of it, there's been a lot of fraud done on the solicitor side of this and conveyancing side of things. So making sure that you're not sending money to the wrong people, because you're essentially transferring a load of money to buy the property. So that gets intercepted. There are problems around that. So making sure it's a reputable firm, reputable systems in place. The broker should never ever ask you to transfer any large sums of money anywhere. So the solicitor should have the systems that could be verified the way the money's going through. There's been an uptick in fraud when it comes to conveyancing elements of it. We've got the right systems with various solicitors, but you can never ever guard against that. The main thing to guard against that is to be vigilant. So a lot of issues around that. What else are we seeing? In terms of buy-to-let sector, it's actually pretty good on the buy-to-let front. People have managed to make these high rates, high fees work, certainly short term. A lot of product transfers, so those people are staying with their existing lender and just getting another 2-year deal. The reason you would do that generally, if the lender doesn't stress test it, it means you can actually stay on a 2-year deal, because generally lenders give you more on a 5-year than a 2-year. So if you're already with a client, with a lender, and they will allow you to do a product transfer, generally people are saying, look, let me stick it for another 2 years. I'll go through the pain for the next 2 years. And that's what I did, funny enough. I said, look, I'm gonna stick with it for 2 years. I've had some good years, don't get me wrong. I've had years when my mortgage was very, very low and my rental income was quite high. So you got to take it with a pinch of salt. So I'm tied in, and I've had my second mortgage payment go through with a new lender at a much higher rate. It pretty much tripled, but I've got a 2-year fixed, and I'm going to see how things pan out. Let me know what you think about the economy. Let me know what you think about the various parties, certainly the immigration debate, what you think about the whole government, the country, what your thoughts are, whether you are British, whether you were born here, whether you're from another country, what your thoughts are, certainly on our, for example, education system, policing, all of those sort of things. It's election time, so I thought I'd make it a little bit political. I'm very, very aware that, when you talk about politics, you do piss a lot of people off, and there will be comments, people saying, what right have you got to talk about it? Stick with doing mortgages. And they're probably right. I should probably steer clear of it. But I'm interested to find out what you guys think. And I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. All the best. The content of this video does not constitute giving advice. It's purely for information purposes. All cases should be discussed with a professional mortgage broker. As a mortgage is secured against your home or property, it could be repossessed if you do not keep up mortgage payments. Niche advice is authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.